Hello everyone, welcome once again to Constantine Discussions. I am Captain Logan.
I'm Steve Baxi.
And Steve, today is a sad day. It's a very sad day, because this will be for the... Oh, Dan's here too, pretending like he cares that Constantine is maybe never coming back. Today, we're going to talk about possibly the final episode of Constantine. We don't know yet. We don't know if it's coming back. And this may be the last Constantine Discussions. I guess we'll find out. But anyway, so we're going to talk about the episode. We're going to talk about what we thought of it, especially if it ends up being the last thing we ever get to see from the show. First of all, Steve, before we get into the episode, are you still as cautiously optimistic as you were last week about the show coming back?
I don't know anymore.
I know, that's where I'm at.
The ratings for the final episode were just held steady. They weren't really helped. William Shatner was doing a great deal to promote the finale on Twitter, and it didn't seem to have any visible effect.
Oh, man.
And it's really depressing. God, I love this show. I don't want it to end, but that certainty we had last week seems to have faded.
Somebody in our comments, and I need to do some research and find out, somebody in our comments said that it's already confirmed that it's not going to be on the Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know if that's true. We'll have to do some research and find out. Obviously, we don't have a source. If you're still watching, that person or anybody else that knows that in our live audience, please give me a link or something. McCaffrey, Sci-Fi picking up the series seems to have been debunked by Sci-Fi's senior executive in a tweet. Oh, like it was just a rumor in the first place? Oh.
See, I don't know about that, though, because Constantine's producer confirmed that those discussions were happening.
Well, maybe it was just debunked in that they hadn't made a deal yet, but there was a conversation, and he's not saying there was a conversation. That kind of thing happens all the time. I guess we'll just find out. I mean, all we can do right now is, beyond just blind speculation, all we can do right now is just hope that it has enough of a following that somebody picks it up. Now, I think that the odds still are really good of it getting picked up by one of the streaming, aggregates. I think that's going to happen. I want to think that's going to happen.
Amazon is really pushing the show whenever they pick up the next episode for people to buy, so maybe Amazon gets it.
Well, I guess all we can do right now is talk about the other episode we have that we haven't talked about yet, and then cry, and try not to pick up smoking as a habit. And that's really all we can do right now. Steve, why don't you go ahead? We're going to talk in our sad morning tones this evening. And Steve, Arrow Discussions, we had jazz hands. No jazz hands today on Constantine Discussions. No jazz hands. No happy fingers. Steve, no. Wow, Mopey Steve is fantastic. Steve, Mopey Steve. We've been at this a while. Steve, what did you think of the 13th? And what a great last number to possibly end off on. The last episode we have so far for Constantine. Go ahead.
So, this was great. I don't want it to end.
I know.
This is great. The ending reveal was absolutely fantastic. And it's even better considering some of the lead-up scenes you had to it. John and Manny's conversations, the stuff John did with Jim Corrigan, the Spectre, about killing that guy, the hunt for that girl, and a little bit of John finding innocence and Manny clearly not having his. It was all fantastic. A lot of this episode is, pretty much the whole episode's based on a really early Hellblazer issue. Which is actually, I think it's the first appearance of Zed, because John goes to a bar and he meets her, and then they immediately go out and solve this exact case, except the girl that gets kidnapped's a little bit different, and that's my trivia question, so we'll talk about that. But it's literally a Hellblazer issue, and the producers are really great about it. If you follow them on Twitter, they'll post pictures and screenshots and compare side by side what they took from the comics versus what they shot. And it's always perfectly replicated. It's really great to see that they've got such a reference for the material. This is interesting. This seems like it was almost more of Zed and Jim Corrigan's episode than it was John.
Yeah.
But John is still a presence in it, and there's everything we see with him is really depressing, particularly towards the end. There's not a lot of optimism there. I love the fact that we finally do the thing with Zed's visions of now we're talking about potentially stopping a vision from the
Yes. Yeah.
Usually with these kinds of shows, that's the first thing you do with psychic characters. But by the end of this, you face the fact that, and John's got that fantastic line of, we can all shape our destiny, but none of us get to escape our fate. I thought that was fantastic.
Well, you used my favorite quote, so no reason to do quotes today.
Yeah, that was my only quote too, but I mean, it's great. It does a great deal to make us sympathize with those characters, and for a second there, I was a little worried that when John saw those two kiss, it was going to be a love triangle thing, but it's not at all. It's just John, in some ways, being happy that Zed and Corgan have got a little optimism out of this terrible situation that they dealt with children getting kidnapped and killed, and how influential the Rising Darkness is. And he's just depressed because he doesn't know how he's going to fight this. And it's just John up against a force of nature that he's never dealt with before, and it's not the same thing as love triangle for the sake of love triangle.
I don't know,
John
Steve.
Jealous or anything like that.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you.
Okay.
I don't know if I agree with you. I'm just saying because we're not seeing beyond it yet. I mean, I see something like that right at the end of an episode, and I say, yeah, they're playing it almost kind of both ways. Yeah, I mean, it's more sophisticated than you often see with that kind of love triangle thing, although I didn't love the whole, he walks in and is looking at them doing that right as it's happening thing. But, like, are you sure that that's not what he's most depressed about? Are you sure? Didn't Manny say something about detecting hints of jealousy? I mean...
Yeah, but then
really?
I mean that whole conversation gets steered toward the situation itself and not necessarily that relationship. And plus,
the
we've never
conversation
really gotten a romantic interest out of them aside from just harmless flirting. So it feels like even at this point, if they were doing a jealous thing, it would feel really counter to what they've set up.
Oh, I don't know. I like... They've been subtle about it. John hasn't been pursuing it because he's afraid to pursue relationships, and they've had other things to do, and they're actually like reasonable characters that make sense. But no, I mean, like, they had so much sexual tension at the beginning that just based on that, I could totally see why her getting involved with Jim would make him a little bit jealous. Although at the same time, he's probably going to die pretty soon, so John's got to be thinking about that, Just thought of that.
By the way, the Spectre teases were awesome. Every time you saw that little green hood over his face, that was great.
Well, and we had seen...
They've confirmed they were going to make him the Spectre, and it's in the scripts. They just haven't filmed those episodes.
Well, I'll tell you, I actually looked at my wife at the beginning because they were pushing that Spectre thing so hard, and I said, they're going to turn him into the Spectre in this episode, right? Like, I really kind of expected that to be the ending. I thought he would die in this episode. And the show takes its time, not dragging stuff out, but not stringing us along. But I should have expected that we wouldn't get it, except that I knew that it might be the last episode. So I totally could have seen them ending this off on, he's the Spectre now. I also kind of expected more of a definitive ending because they might be afraid that they were getting canceled, and really thought that they were going to go that way, Steve. When we get the previously on Constantine and like all the lore stuff is coming back, and it was really interesting that we had Papa Midnight, and we had Corrigan, and we had and even like Gary as a corpse. In a cameo, that was cool, and I really expected this to feel like a much more important episode than it was, and it is important, but it felt like a mid-season cliffhanger.
Yeah, and that's why it's terrible if this show doesn't get a second season, because they've brought back so much material, they've given you so much to think about, and they're clearly going somewhere very specific with it.
Yeah.
So I respect them to the degree of they were filming episodes knowing they weren't going to get more than 13. And they didn't rely on shoving all that material and ruining their last episode. They decided to just keep going with what it seems like they've had planned. This episode didn't feel like it was heavily rewritten to reflect the 13-episode commitment at all.
No, it wasn't. At the same time, there's a part of me that almost wishes that they'd written it like a 13-episode miniseries where they could have like wrapped up the Rising Darkness thing to a degree and made you go, okay, if we never get any more, at least we got like a full story. They didn't rush things, and that's nice. And I'm conflicted about that because then on the other hand, they obviously really believe in it, and they think that it's a good enough show that it should come back. And it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna write it like it's gonna come back because it deserves to. And if it doesn't, nobody can blame us for rushing or doing something gimmicky at the end or anything like that. So I mean, I respect them a lot for it, and at the same time, I wish we had, a more. I wish that if this was all we were getting, I wouldn't go back and watch it again and feel depressed about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's really sad, at this point at least, knowing that we aren't going to get more for a little while. So it would have been great to have an ending. At the same time, though, if it does get renewed, then we know they didn't have to ruin anything for the sake of making it work for only 13 episodes.
Did you give us a best moment or a worst moment, Steve?
No, I don't think I did. My best moment was the thing at the middle somewhere where they capture the man, and John says we should just let him go, and then Corgan shoots him. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was fascinating that now we're dealing with the rising darkness. Doesn't just affect magic, it's literally twisting people's minds, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. Worst moment's not really a moment, so much as another continued observation of, I'll just preface this with, I've got a very good screen that makes things extremely bright when I need them to. This episode was obscenely dark in lighting, and it was really hard to see certain things. And that was irritating. Like, when John's going through the house, I couldn't see anything for a little while.
I didn't have that problem as much with this episode, or at least maybe I'm just used to it. I don't know. As I did with that audio thing again. My biggest complaint, I'll just throw this out real quick, is Jim Corrigan is a mumbler. I can't understand half of his dialogue, and I know that if I'd had this on subtitles, I probably would have appreciated his character a lot more and picked up on stuff, because I have no idea what he's saying half the time.
Yeah, that's fair. I watch the show with subtitles all the time, so I didn't get that.
I should have done that. I honestly, I've never watched anything on Hulu with subtitles. I don't know if they give you that option. I should look for it and see if it's there. Cause
NBC's website will give it to you. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't been watching it there, but maybe that's where I should be watching it. But it doesn't matter now. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so let me go ahead real quick and give a little bit of my 2 cents. I've already said quite a bit, so I'll make this kind of brief. I thought that the guy playing the Satanist was absolutely phenomenal. I thought he was terrifying. I thought his performance was amazing. And also, not to harp too much on this, but that guy was also had kind of like Southern mumbly thing, and I could understand everything he said. So anyway, like I said, I really appreciated getting all of the continuity stuff, with this still being a one and done episode with a really good freak of the week that subverted my expectations a lot. I thought all the stuff that you were talking about with questioning if the future is predetermined and if you can change it, if you know what's going to happen, do we have the power of choice, all of that, or one thing I kept thinking of is does the fact that you know what's supposed to happen, is that what influences it to happen in the first place? That kind of thing is always really fascinating to me. I'm always sucked into those kind of stories, and I think that it was handled really well, and again, really subtle. We don't get an answer at all yet. It's just talked about. We're just questioning it right now. Just going through a couple of notes. This show loves creepy funhouse and carnival imagery. That is its favorite thing. The corpse monster with a sewn up mouth reminded me of Weapon 11 or Deadpool from X-Men Origins. Yeah. What else? Okay, so like I said, I didn't 100% agree with you on the love triangle thing at the end. I kind of just need to see where that's going. Hopefully, we'll get to see where that's going. I love the Manny reveal, and that's my favorite moment. But at the same time, I love the way it's played and I love the way it's acted, but predictable, right? Like I saw this coming. You had that whole thing, and especially because on the previous on Constantine thing, one of the things they threw in there in setting that up, and I kind of wish they wouldn't do that in these shows, is it has the thing about how somebody's going to betray him. Okay, I mean, Zed was a red herring. They've from the very beginning made Manny seem really suspicious, and then he's been a lot more helpful and appreciating humanity and stuff the last couple episodes. I thought that was telegraphed pretty hard. Yeah,
that's fair. It's a little bit. It's a little bit hard to say exactly because he's really inconsistently helpful. And so now you wonder just how much of that is him working out his plan and how much of that is something else.
But I was wondering that already. But I was already wondering that.
Yeah, agreed. It's a little bit sad that was predictable, but I think it works, though, because I think it's a really interesting character.
I don't think that's a problem. I just think you gave it too much credit when you're like, that's a great reveal. And I'm like, well, I mean, I like the way it's played, but I think it was callable.
It was predictable. I just mean in the sense that who Manny is as a person, revealing this just makes it endlessly fascinating as to what could be going on.
Okay, but I'm just saying that I was already thinking all that stuff.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I guess the only place I'm arguing with you, Steve, is you seem taken by it, and I was kind of surprised that you were, because I thought we were both kind of seeing that coming.
Yeah, I guess a little bit of that, just the emotion of this is the last episode, so you just kind of want to enjoy as much it as possible.
The other thing too, Steve, is you didn't watch Lost.
Yeah.
And that guy's casting choice tells you what's going to happen. Especially because
we talked about that a little bit last week.
Especially because he's on NBC. They could have subverted it and been like, that would have been really cool, you know what I mean? Like, if Manny had turned out to just totally been altruistic. This is more interesting, you're right. But I'm just saying that, the casting choice told me that he was going to turn on him. Because, spoiler alert for Lost, that's what happens with the guy he plays in Lost. So anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think we talked a little bit about that last week, where you said it was subverting that expectation because he was a very different character that episode. Or not a very different character, but he had a very different arc that didn't seem like he was being typecast.
Well, that's true, and maybe right then I was buying it more. I don't know. I don't remember what I said last week. I've slept since then. But I'm just saying that I always thought that they were going. I guess just taking that episode on its own. I don't know. I'm digging myself into a hole right now. Okay, if I said that, then I was being naive last week, and this week I thought of things that I forgot about last week. Whatever, fine. Do you have any more quotes? I guess you said you didn't really have any more quotes.
No, that was my big one. I thought that line was just fantastic, and it's a Matt Ryan thing. Matt Ryan can deliver almost even the worst dialogue amazingly. Yeah, so when he gets great material, he delivers it with so much conviction. It's just fantastic.
The nice thing is it's rarely bad, right? I mean,
yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and do trivia questions real quick, and then we'll round this out. Sadly, possibly for the last time. Steve, what was your trivia question, sir?
So in the comic that this episode is based on, what is the name of the girl that gets kidnapped and John is trying to rescue?
Steve, my favorite thing to ask about is food. I'm like Weird Al. I love talking about food. And my question today is, what sort of food does Manny ask Zed if she likes? And that moment was hysterical, by the way.
Yes, it was.
That's my trivia question. Well, I'm going to see if there's anything in the comments about Constantine, because usually what happens is everybody in this show starts talking about other things while we talk about Constantine. It's you people are the reason that this show might be getting canceled. And anyway, I'm going to...
You have failed this series.
You have failed this series! While I'm looking through this, Steve, were there any other scenes or anything that you wanted to talk about?
I'm not sure if we talked about this the first time Corgan appeared, but that actor originally auditioned for John, and he got cast as Corgan instead.
Oh, cool.
But I think it works either way. I think he would have made a really interesting John also. Something else just prediction-wise, or not prediction-wise, but production-wise, John's got a different wardrobe this episode. They gave him a different coat and a different tie, and it's actually a lot closer to the comics with how long it is.
I didn't notice
And apparently
that.
Matt Ryan was asking for it the whole time. Like, the whole series is like, I want a really long coat. And now he's going to get it if the show keeps going.
It's funny you say that because last episode, I was actually noticing that and going, oh, weird. I thought that coat was longer. Yeah, so that's cool that he got a longer one this time. McCaffrey, is Manny the first of the Fallen, or could Manny be the third of the Fallen? As the second of the Fallen usually takes the form of an eternal darkness. Clearly, this person knows something about Constantine.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, a lot of that is just in Judeo-Christian mythology as well, so that would be interesting if Manny is that darkness itself.
McCaffrey also asks, where was Chaz this episode?
Good question. Possibly with his wife, considering what's happened in the last couple weeks.
That's true, but I think we had him... Did we not have him in the previous episode somewhere? I forget.
We had him get stabbed in the leg.
Oh, that's right, because there was that whole can he heal if he doesn't die thing, yeah.
Yeah, this show's a little bit weird like that, because our principal cast is really just John, and week to week there's no guarantee of who we're going to get working with him.
Okay, Rocket Raccoon makes a good point. I'm thinking about all these different shows at the same time. I forgot about this. He says, wait, Manny is the main villain? That's actually interesting. That's a good point. I certainly called that there was something going on with him, but the fact that he's, like, running the people that Papa Midnight's working for, no, that I couldn't have called that. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and that's a good exchange where he's like, you work for the brewer. He says, no, they work for me.
Yeah, that was cool. They work for me.
That actor's just great.
He's fantastic. Rocket Raccoon, the actor who plays Corrigan, is Irish, so him maybe just doing that accent and putting a lot of concentration on it might cause the mumbling. That's a good point. That might be what it is. Yeah. Somebody else said, "Well, hey, I'm British, and American accents are hard."
That's fair. That's totally fair. He doesn't sound like he has an Irish accent at all, so that could be it.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a good job, of making it sound like he's not Irish, but not always making a good job of communicating to me. I don't know if there's anything else about Constantine, but thanks a couple people for actually asking me things about, or asking us things about Constantine. Rocket Raccoon, I hope Matt Ryan is cast in Justice League Dark as Constantine,
yes.
But I doubt Del Toro will ever make that movie. I also kind of doubt that will ever finally get made. But it could with all the the comic book and superhero madness we've had lately. I mean that would be cool. But you always have that problem of if you cast someone that was in a TV show. Or like is it going to be confusing for people because it's not the same continuity and all, and that kind of. It doesn't happen very often. It's not unprecedented, but it's unusual.
Yeah, and I guess this would be a stretch, but it'd be interesting if they let this showrunners and Del Toro work by making the Justice League Dark movies like a continuation. If they can't renew it, we just get a couple movies every year where John leads the Justice League Dark. That's a good idea. I think. Once again, I think it would be the same thing, basically, if you put it on Netflix or Amazon or something, where it would that's true.
It would be like you got a movie every year that'd just be a little bit longer, or you could even make them shorter. There's no reason you couldn't do the sometimes British miniseries thing of like you get 3 episodes and they're all like an hour and a half a piece or something.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if we don't get Matt Ryan, I think James McAvoy would be a fantastic John.
I don't see it.
Have you ever watched Filth?
No.
It's a movie on Netflix right now. It came out just last year, and essentially, McAvoy plays John Constantine as a cop.
Okay, I'll have to check into that. Why is it that things keep having to happen tonight that remind me of The Tick, and I want to make references that I know nobody listening are going to get? We're Filth! We're Filth! We come from Filth! We're going to Filth! We're Filth! Anybody who got that? Good on you. Anyway, 2.5 Doctor, do you think the series would have done better if it was called Hellblazer rather than relying on name recognition with the film? No, I don't think the name change would have had anything to do with consistency of viewership. I think that getting the amount of people they got to watch the show was astounding in the first place. It may not have gotten the ratings that it needed to survive, but the fact that it did as well as it did really surprised me. If this was on the CW, it would have gotten 10 seasons.
Yeah, agreed. Although it would have suffered in quality because every episode would have had some kind of love triangle.
Oh, no, it wouldn't have been a good show. I'm just saying that, like, if this were on not a major network, I mean, like, it's doing close to Arrow numbers, is it not? I mean, like... Isn't it doing like
numbers in that range?
Isn't it doing like 3.5-4 million? I mean, like for CW, that's like crazy madness. Let's all go buy Lamborghinis. But in this, but on NBC, it's not like that, and it's also probably more expensive. I've got to get a different sound.
That's a little terrifying at times.
That horrifying sound means we're all out of time. And Steve. What is the answer to your trivia question?
The answer is Gemma. She is John's niece in the comics, and she gets kidnapped by the Man.
Also, I thought the Man was... I wish we talked more about that. I thought that title was almost like a double entendre.
Yeah, good call. Because it seemed a little bit weird just calling it the Man, but then realizing what they're doing about the corruptibility of man and their abilities and their choices... That certainly works. Well,
because at the same time, also Papa Midnight is also like the Man because he's got this whole he's in charge of like this whole cult thing and John can't really do anything but just wait for him to show up. It's subtle, but it's kind of a double entendre.
That's a good call.
Anyway, Curious Low, my poor ears. Yeah, I feel it. Okay, so fine. Full disclosure, the reason the stupid beep is back is because I didn't have my cell phone completely charged, so I couldn't use it for the timer, so I had to use the internet timer that I'm going to find a different internet timer. Anyway, man, you guys make me tell you all this personal stuff. Okay, well, the answer to my question is pickles. And thanks everybody for watching. I sure appreciate it. And we're gonna go cry rivers now and use cats to make it possible for us to go to the underworld and tell devils to bring Constantine back. And we'll have to pay a horrible price for working with dark evilness. But it'll be worth it to get more of this show. So we're gonna go, and we're gonna put our feet in a pail of water and get cats because they're half in anyway. And thanks everybody for watching. We sure appreciate it. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Steve Baxi.
Thanks a lot to our live internet audience for talking with us. We sure appreciate you guys doing that and helping us out. And we'll see everybody on other discussion shows, but not this one for a while. Hopefully it comes back. Everybody do some like chanting or spells or something. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.